So hello and welcome to Limitless You Talk with me, Katie. It's official, we are now in 2025 and I had this episode kind of planned out what I was going to do, but I've decided to change that. And the reason being is because in the last sort of 72 hours or so, I felt quite up and down and experienced quite a roller coaster of a lot of different things. And I felt that most of us have probably finished the first couple of weeks or whatever of January, or starting a new, whatever, or kickstarting a journey, whatever it's been. And I just felt that the episode that I had just didn't in line right now of, I suppose, a reflection on me, probably personally, as much as anything. So I wanted to come on and be open and honest and transparent I probably share a little bit about my journey, a little bit of all the different hats that I've been wearing, that I do wear on a daily basis, but at the same time, just really, really give you an insight that you're not alone in maybe how you're feeling right now, maybe how you felt in the last few days, the last few weeks, or just to know that we're all in this together, that what you maybe see from me, if you see me on social media, you see my posts, you're listening to this podcast, it sounds that everything's all fine and dandy, when I can assure you it absolutely is not. So it's almost as if this episode and this chat that we're about to have, I'm bringing you behind the closed door a little bit. So I don't know why, I've just been feeling a little bit off, a little bit lower in energy, a little bit not like my 100% self. And I'm just going to throw it out there. It is my time of the month, and as a woman to woman, if you're listening to this, you'll have an understanding that. If you're a guy listening to this, maybe not so much. So yeah, I just have to be aware of that and then park it, that when you got the time of the month, who knows, it can be a good time of the month because it's not as bad as what last month or a few months ago might have been. So it's been around this week. It's been a very overwhelming first full week of work for me in 2025. Surrounded by death, dealing with grief, dealing with the pressures, the demands, the stressors. And while I've dealt with them better than I've ever dealt with them before, because obviously I worked very, very hard to be able to not take things to heart, not bring things home with me, not feel like I have to work 24/7. I've still been able to go into the gym. I've still been able to have Katie time. I've still been able to read my 10 plus pages in my book. I've still been able to do everything. But it's been a lot harder to do. And I've had a cry. I've had a couple of cries now. I've had a lot of anxiety. I've had a lot of wanting to be very reactive rather than be proactive. I've really had to make sure that my own non-negotiables were key. Like, have to do them. It's like a life or death. Like, you have to do them. And the reason why I've had to adapt that mindset with it is because I know myself so well now, coming up to 11 years in a mental health journey with depression and anxiety and all the rest that I have been experiencing, is that my non-negotiables give me the energy to be and do who I need to be professionally, be and do who I need to be personally, be and do just to get out of my bed in the morning. And I think I've heard this word like coasting or floating, and we get into this state within our minds of, we know how to do this, we know how to do that, it's just a part of routine. And while I understand that and get that, for me, I think a little bit the fatigue I've been feeling, a little bit of burnout I've got this week, the amount of working hours and all the rest of it. And a lot of us will have experienced this. It's not just a me thing, I just want to make that clear. Is that it catches up on you. And it only caught up on me when I actually went to go to bed on Friday night. It was the weirdest thing. No rhyme or reason, because I don't think there's a specific trigger. I think it's just an amalgamation of absolutely everything. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And I really had to, every tool that I carry with, I always say that I've got a backpack of tools, but every tool that I carry with me, every known way I know how to look after myself, every known little thing that I do, little Rubik's Cube that I have, little pen and notepad that I have, little stress egg that I have that I squeeze, the little teddy that I have that's just a reminder, all those little things I really, really had to club together in the last 48 to 72 hours to use. And I feel as if I've used every single one of them just to allow me to basically stand up, have this conversation with you and tell you, I've struggled. I have struggled in the last few days. I've struggled to be Katie. I've struggled to be Katie, the professional version that I have to be. I've struggled to be Katie, the personal version. And I will let you into a secret. When I have been really bad and things like that, I can't bring myself to go outside the house. And today I experienced that. I had a couple of plans on, a couple of things I had to do, and I had to prioritise. I had to sit and think, is going out the house right now going to be what I need? And I made that decision that no. And I've battled in the past where going outside the door of the house even, is that it's not so bad. And it's not. But in that moment, I needed to do my cleaning. If my mum's listening to this, she'll be like, that, what cleaning? But so I've done my hoovering, done my dusting, I've done my washing, and I've made the dinner for tonight that'll do me lunch tomorrow. So I've done that. I've done all my kind of Sunday reset stuff that I like to do, that just resets, reviews, and allows me to be ready for the next week. And I've done all that. The difference is I always like to buy myself flowers, or my mum buys me flowers, but I've not had flowers because it's been over the festive period and different things. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go to the shop that's not even a mile from my house. I am going to do it. Didn't want to go. Sat for kind of 5-10 minutes and sort of, right, okay, do we just leave it? Will I regret not seeing where the flowers should be because I walk past it all the time? And I was like, no, Katie, go. You're going to be out the house for 5 minutes. You know that you can come straight home because you're going in the car, you're not walking, so you'll be away for longer. And right now, that's just too far for you to do it. And that's what I did. Got a lovely bunch of pink roses, a bottle of pink Lucozade, and I was like, that's enough. Why am I telling you that? Because the difference is I did it. The difference is I didn't let how I'm feeling, didn't let all my emotions right now, and don't let my anxiety and a little bit of that depression creeping in, and the low mood and the low energy, the fatigue and the bit of burnout of feeling stop me. I've had to prioritise what is 1, 2, 3 in my important list, my priority list, 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, I've had to sacrifice X, Y, and Z right now, but only because temporarily I have to put myself first. If I don't put myself first, I will never be able to go back to X, Y, and Z and say, listen, I had to take some time out. And one of the plans I had was meeting up with one of my good friends, Joe, that I've worked with and became really close friends with. And I said to Joe, Joe, I've had to work up the courage to even say how I'm feeling. And that's not like me at all, because I talk about how I'm feeling. I say when I'm not having a good day. I know I can explain to my mum, Mum, I'm feeling a bit shitty. I'm not having a good day right now. And it's just because I've not experienced it for a little while. And that's okay. But I know when I'm not okay. I know what I need. I know who I need. Like Joe knows that he's one of the people that I can be very open and honest with. He knows what to say. He knows how to get me curious. He knows how to remind me what self-care, self-love I have to do in that moment. And he's just that support. He's become that support because between me and him, we have an understanding that we've both suffered in various different ways. He's got, he's older than me, but he's got an older head on his shoulders. So he's a good one to look up to. He's a good angle to have because he's coming from the outside in. And he can give that perspective of open, honest, and never tell me what I want to hear. And for me, that helps me, like right now, do this podcast. And in a way, I'm doing it for Joe. I'm doing it for everyone that is feeling a bit shit right now. I'm doing it for everyone that might feel alone, that, is just a reminder that you're not alone. But what I wanted to do within this is I always like to do a kind of like a blog type idea or a little kind of piece of review and reflection piece. So what I wanted to do with this podcast today is I wanted to read it, right? I would never come on here and say I'm going to read it. But today I felt I needed to. So I've got my phone in front of me and I'm going to read it to you guys. Okay. So this one's called The First Working Week of 2025. I think it's fair to say that no one can predict when death could occur in varying circumstances, locations. January seems to have come in forms of beginning to carry out the funerals of those who passed away at the end of last year in 2024, while dealing with those who have lost a loved one more recently too. So the first full working week of the year 2025 has been nothing short of very, very steady. We never use the word busy. My dad has never used the word busy. We always use the word steady. And I say this in more ways than one. I'm not complaining about it. I'm purely just stating an observation of the reality of working within an industry that will always be called upon when needed. There doesn't have a day, date, and time factor. It purely happens when it happens. I was out driving on a funeral for a family that I actually know personally, so the opportunity to go out and drive them was a privilege. And while the service was happening, and at this point, I'm standing at the back of the chapel, practically hugging the heater because it was so cold this week, I suddenly had a realisation, a really, really massive one. The fact that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, being a funeral director, working in the funeral industry, helping those in the industry and the families that are dealing with loss of their loved one. What a massive moment. Having felt more lost recently, more for the fact of having various roles that I hold and get quite dizzy with them all, if I'm honest, I gained clarity. Without actually thinking about it, it just came to me, finally, after trying to find it and not really finding it recently. So now that I have the clarity to do what my purpose is, where I want and need to be, my reasons why I want to do it, and what I do, I really feel within me, I really feel it within me, that it fulfills me, and I'm no longer feel as dizzy as I did. I won't at this point lie and say it's not been a really challenging and at some points a difficult week that made me completely question myself and made me check in with myself and say, Katie, are you really sure about this? And don't get me wrong, I still have my moments where I think I'm absolutely not sure I'm where I want to be. I know that will continue to happen because we all have them. Some days will be better than others, but overall and deep down, it is where I am supposed to be in my life. It is my purpose. This week of what has been the first of the working year of 2025 has really tested me. It's had me overwhelmed, angry, sad, upset, agitated and tired. I never have lost sight of myself. What helps me, what gives me energy to be my best self, cope with the most difficult moments, which is the key. Without me doing the self-care, the self-love and looking after myself, I couldn't be who I need to be. I couldn't hold the varying roles I do. I couldn't handle or cope with the more challenging times and ultimately couldn't have had the massive realisation moments that has made my first working week of 2025 a winning one. Why am I reading that out to you? Because if I'm honest about who I am, I'm not perfect. I choose progress over perfection. And actually all of my down days, all of my lost days, all of the days I feel like absolute dog shit are sometimes the days that help me progress the most. So I am sharing this with you because there's a couple of tips within all of what I've shared right now that have helped me that I hope can help you feel, do, be who you need to be by looking after who you are. And that's the first tip. You need to look after you in order to be you in all the other environments that you're in. It's about reflecting. It's about taking that 2 minutes and saying and checking in with yourself, like I said. Are you okay? Are you sure? What are you feeling right now? What's going on in my head? Why is my body responding this way? Checking in with yourself and bringing the now, the present to the forefront, because the past becomes the now sometimes, and so does the future, more than what we think about the now and the present. So we can't go between. We have to be the piggy in the middle, because in order to learn from the past, you have to take who you are now. In order to be who you need to be in the future, you have to be who you be now. So you get that point within that. For me, writing it down is key. I love a notepad and pen at night. And I know I've spoken about journaling before, but I'm telling you, it's so key to this. Because last night I could journal and I could tell exactly how I was feeling. The night before I could do that. So if I go back and look at my week in my journals alone, I will see the pattern of me slowly losing the energy that keeps me going at times when I need to have that energy. I kept doing my non-negotiables. My 3 non-negotiables every day are go to the gym or have my walk, fuel my body to give me energy, because I know what it's like not to, so I fuel my body, and make sure that I take time for myself, whether that be 1 minute, 2 minutes, half an hour, I take that time. And at some points this week, I even did 30 minutes of steps while reading my book and de-stressing from the day that it was been. So I did 3 in 1, because that's what I know That's what I know that helps me. And I think the final one for me is this, is telling someone about it. I told Joe about it, just like I'm telling you. You have to talk, you have to communicate, you have to not shy away from how you're feeling. Because I think many of you probably listening to this conversation right now can really relate. Keeping your mouth shut and acting as if everything is okay, when actually the stronger versions of ourselves, the more powerful versions of ourselves, and the empowerment that we can have on ourselves is standing up and saying, do you know what? See, today, I am not okay. And the thing is, I'm still not okay, but I'm fine. And I mean, I know when we say, oh, I'm fine, but what I mean by fine is that I'm still breathing. I'm still alive. I still have the chance to make today a good quality day. Okay, it might be different than what the original plan was, but it can still be a quality day. It can still be a day of ticking the boxes, achieving something, which then allows me to be better tomorrow. And for me today, that has been getting out of my bed, having my walk, having a cup of tea with something to eat, hoovering, dusting, doing my washing, actually forcing myself to go out the house for all of 6 minutes, 20 seconds. I timed it. I did do that. Bought myself some flowers and a bottle of pink Lucozade. And I know that I've done better than the previous version of myself that couldn't even come to do that. And that version of myself taught me how to do this now. So I can be present with that and know that if there's a reoccurrence or I have my little moments in the future, I can think to the present now of how am I feeling? What do I need right now? So it all comes into effect of that. So that's been my experience of the first week of 2025. It's been from my world of all these different things. And see, the thing is the week has actually been the biggest win for me in a long time. Well, I spoke about that in my blog post. It's been the biggest win because I've realised where my heart is, where my head is, and what I want for myself. Not that I've lost my purpose and that I don't know what I want for myself, but the more and more I'm involved in different things, the more and more. It was a conversation I had this week, and it was about, you're becoming a leader of the industry. That was massive to me. I couldn't accept that compliment. But yet I fought for so long just to be a woman in the industry, in the funeral industry, just to be a woman. Then I thought it'd be a good idea to fight for the fact that we need to look after ourselves. And we're there at level 1. Level 2 is going to be, it's going to be phenomenal in comparison. But it's actually been a winning week. So I think the message, the biggest message, the biggest takeaway, the biggest realisation on top of all the realisations that I've had personally this week is that no matter the challenges, no matter the pressures, no matter the stress that you're feeling, that you're going through, a winning week can include all of that and still come out as a winning week. It's still coming out as winning the gold medal at the Olympics. And that is crazy. See, when you think about it, see when you're like, really? Really? Yeah, really? Yes. A week of ups and downs, a week of being on this weird and wacky, wonderful roller coaster that is life. And the most challenging of circumstances can still come out as a winning week. And it comes down to two choices of who you decide to be. I could easily lie down to it, but I didn't. And I hope that if you've allowed a situation or allowed something this week or previously to just be ahead of you in that race, in that 100-metre race, that next time you'll be the one in front of them and you can guide them to some peace, to some calm, to some awareness, to some, okay, we can coexist at this moment in time. And they can be beside you, but you're the one that's going to be able to accelerate forward a lot quicker than them. And that's the message in all of this. And I just thank you for allowing me this space to share that. I hope it reflects on you. If there's any questions or anything that comes to you, ask yourself. If anything that I've spoken about is like raising little curiosity points, little things for you, I encourage you to explore it. Write it down. Think about it. That what Katie said had me curious. Why am I curious about that? And you might come out with a little point. There might be a word that comes to mind. There's words in the conversation I had with Joe earlier where it was freedom. I don't feel like I've got that freedom, but I'm focused because I want that freedom. So all these little things become a curiosity point, so it allows you to explore. it allows you to do the self-development and the self-work that can help you in your lowest moments come out the other side. And that's what it's all about. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and listening. As per usual, if you can like, subscribe, tell all your friends, your worst enemies about it, to keep spreading the word, it would be an absolute pleasure even. I'm going to go and learn how to say words out loud, I think. But yeah, know that you're never alone in how you're feeling. I experience some of the feelings that everybody else experiences. We're just the everyday average individual in life trying to work our way through what life is. And it's not easy, but progress over perfection. Because we will be the imperfected perfection versions of ourselves. That is such a tongue twister. I'm surprised I got that out. And just know that you're not alone in how you feel. That's the biggest one. Not alone in how you feel, and you can talk about it. So thank you so much once again. Remember to like, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram. You can on YouTube and on Spotify. And if anything comes up for you within this, please reach out to me because I'd love to hear your feedback or anything that just comes up for you because we're all living in this crazy, crazy world right now. And I'm sure as 2025 goes on, we'll all be challenged in some form and know that we're never ever alone to go through it. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you soon.